Live. And we're live. Here we go. So we are back with the H3O podcast. I am Joel Rather. I'm here with
Jason Hirsch,
Mr. Jason. And we are pretty fired up today because we have two guys that we've talked about on previous podcasts, and we were fortunate enough to try and wrangle them into a little bit of their time. They've been busy as all get out all winter. We've been going back and forth kind of continuously on Instagram and stuff like that, messaging, and got a chance to meet both of these guys last year. We've got Dom and Ryan Panzy on the horn today. They were last year's Packout Challenge winners. And they also
in the team competition. Ryan tried to be an animal and do it all by himself after the team competition and didn't quite get there.
He wanted to win both, and we were pretty fired up to see if he could pull it
when
off.
You went out, we were all going, "Oh my God, is this guy really going to do it?"
And
I gave it everything.
Yeah, you did.
He did. He gave it a hell of an effort. So, but we're going to talk a little bit about Western Huntfest today. We're going to talk a little bit about what you guys do, because you guys are more than just pack mules. You guys have an unbelievable spot that you guys guide on down there in northern New Mexico, and so let's get into it. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm pumped, ready for this.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So we're excited to get an opportunity to catch up with you, and we're just so happen to be recording it while we do it. So let's start with Western Huntfest, and then we'll talk a little bit about some other stuff as we go through here. You guys showed up at Western Huntfest last year, full intentions of crushing everybody in the Packout Challenge. Talk a little bit about, you guys, just first interpretation, right? Like you guys saw the event and you're like, we got to go. This has us written all over it. So I don't know who wants to go first, but
I'll let Ryan hit it because he's the one that kind of started it. Yeah. Shoot, I don't even know how I found it. I think a friend or somebody had messaged me on Instagram about it, and I was like, dang, that's right up my alley. Like, I'm gonna have to do both. So kind of talking about it, and like with my cousin, who helps me a lot and guides with us as well. He was talking like, well, I'd do it with you, but I ain't going to go as fast as you want to go. So I kept thinking, I was like, well, I can ask Dom. And Dom's like, well, let's do it. So signed up from there. And I was like, everybody asked me, are you doing both? I'm like, well, yeah, it's kind of what we do. So see if we can come home with both.
Yeah. And so for those of you that haven't watched our previous podcast or haven't looked at Western Huntfest, we'll leave a link for you up there. And what the Western Huntfest is, we have a Packout Challenge, and the Packout Challenge is an equivalency of a full quartered out elk with head and antlers over a course that the contestants don't know what that course is when they show up, but we obviously built the course out. And so it was around a mile, a loop of that course, and there's elevation gain and loss. And the contestants get to choose kind of how they're going to attack this thing. And everybody except for you two looked at it and said, all right, well, we're going to take half or close to half, and then we're going to pack that, and then we're going to come back, unload and reload, and then we'll pack the other half. And as Dom and Ryan stepped up, they're like, no, that's not how we're going to do this. And they just threw the entire thing, head, antlers, the whole elk, and you have to carry your bow for one round of the trip, because we wanted to make it as realistic as possible. And they just put their heads down and beat everybody by about 20 plus 30 minutes.
I think 30 or 40 minutes. Yeah, I think
it was
did it in about
40 minutes.
Yeah, I think you guys did it in 45 minutes, and most other teams were doing about an hour 20, hour 30.
Yeah.
To get around. But I think the most impressive part was Dom. I think, and you're not a large statured human. I think you were carrying your body weight equivalent around the course, including your bow for the first round, which I think everybody was like, you got to be shitting me. There's no way. And you guys hammered that thing out. We were super pumped to see you come break the tree line and start making your way back towards the start-finish line. But I think that was by far the most impressive piece.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty intense, for sure. We just kind of talked about it and kind of figured out who was taking what, and he carried the bow, I believe, about the first half before you hit down the canyon, and then from there I took it.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of just kept going, and that last hill was a killer. That one was amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, when we first talked about it too, you know, there was like no question that we were going to do it, you know, in one trip, because like Ryan said, you know, it's what we do. We weren't thinking like, oh, you know, maybe we can do it 2, maybe we can do it 3. It's like, no, we're going to do it in 1. Like, this is what we do, you know? And, you know, you kind of do the strategizing too. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that was like we had the billboard up that was showing like a load speed index, like what we recommend you carry per lap around the track. And a lot of people started looking at that going, okay, that, and they kind of started using that in their strategy of going, all right, I know that I can carry X amount of weight. And then you just said, screw it, I'm just going to take, you know, what was it, like 150, 180 pounds, whatever it was on your back. And you're like, yeah, screw it, we'll just do this.
Yeah, well, see, like the weight is no question. Like you're going to carry the weight regardless. And I think the thing was just regular walking, you know, no weight, nothing. I can do a mile in about 15 to 20 minutes. So even if I'm carrying 150 pounds and I'm walking, you know, 40 minutes for a mile, like that's still someone having to do that course without any weight walking regular. So if we could do it once and we only have to suffer once, they still have to do it 2, maybe 3 times, you know, to even be on the same time as us.
Yeah, exactly. And the key word there is suffer.
Suffer was it. So I'm trying to pull up the numbers from last year and how much weight was distributed amongst the two of you.
I think I see. Okay, well, I know we both had a hind quarter and a front quarter. I had the head, and he carried the extra meat, and then, like I said, we split the bow. I think if that was correct.
Yeah. I think that sounds right. Now, before doing this, because as you guys said, this is what we do. You guys have obviously then prior to that have actually packed out an entire elk by yourselves, alive or formerly live elk by yourselves before you guys have done that.
Oh, well, I have once. Yeah. And then I've carried about a 300-pound bear on my back, guts and all, out of canyon. So, but this was totally different.
51 minutes 47 seconds. I think Dom, you were carrying 150 pounds on the nose. Ryan, you were at 110 plus the head,
which was I think 35
or 40. Yeah.
So it was almost the same. So you guys distributed it pretty evenly, but well, so let's talk a little bit about that. So I know this year you guys are, if I'm correct, you guys are talking about coming to both Western Hunt Fest. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We'll be at both of them.
So the gauntlet has been laid.
The challenge is on.
The course, obviously, in New Mexico will be a lot different than the course at the American Bowman Club. Obviously, the American Bowman Club is a little bit more boxed in. We're going to try and make it different this year, the path that we take and work on trying to make that, obviously, a little bit different than last year so that you still kind of have an idea what it's going to look like, but at the same time, we'll try and make it so it's a little bit more unique. Now, in terms of like training and getting ready for all this, like is hunting season for you guys? I know I remember messaging you one time, Ryan, and I was like, how many animals have you packed out? And you're like, I quit counting. Is that you guys training ground, or what goes on in terms of maybe the off season? How about that?
Well, for this challenge, kind of really, I mean, I hate saying it, but I didn't do really much. I mean, I maybe ran all together maybe a week and a half, and that was very spread out. Didn't really prepare for it, and I felt it come when I started doing that second one. I was just beat. And then on top of that, the nutrition part, I got to work better too, because didn't have much off that little burger going to the second round.
The tank ran a little low on round 2 for sure. How about you, Dom?
See, so me being the smaller guy, it's like I got to take that stuff serious. So like I'm training, 5 days a week, like functional strongman weight training, running in between. Like I'm doing everything I can to like level myself up, because when you don't have the weight to carry the weight, you have to rely on your training, your endurance, your, mental toughness. And I mean, everything else plays a role into that, because after that first 5 minutes, when your excitement and adrenaline wears off, like it's suffering,
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And I remember you and I talked about that offline, kind of, I think after the event, you were talking about, like your past, like basketball and some other stuff and athletics and those types of things. And you've kind of used that as how you, have continued, working and staying in shape and doing some of those things. And, I mean, I think that's exactly it, right? Like I'm a little bit bigger than you, but I'm not as big as Jason or Ryan. And I know that, like, if I don't train, then like you said, I'm going to suffer a lot more than I want. Not that I'm not willing to do it. And I think there's a part of that too, where, and you guys can maybe speak to this. Like, I don't think there's ever a time I've packed anything out and just went like, oh, that was easy. Right. Like there's always a part of it that I think is challenging no matter what.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. Especially, I think this year it hit me again where Dominic had killed a bull late January with his hunter, and we went to go help him, and I had been trying to kill a bull with my hunter in deep snow, and just when we got there, we both took about the same. He took a quarter, and I think the head and cape, and then I had like half, and the hunter had a leg, but we took off, and that one was, it wasn't bad, but it was brutal because I fell at one point, and just like, this sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the 700-yard pack out, but I mean, you're packing out in 10 inches of snow. And I mean, it's, 11 o'clock, it's cold, It's windy. You're kind of climbing up rocks in the side of a cliff. It's tough.
Yeah.
And you're high stepping through snow, which doesn't make it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been hunting all day on top of that. So
right.
It's just a mental thing on top of that too, is you just got to tell yourself, we got to get through this.
I almost killed a friend over one of those types of pack outs.
Is that the 2/10?
No, that's not. A friend of mine shot a cow, and it was almost 2 miles away, and we had like 12 to 16 inches of snow.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, it's just over here. It was similar to that, right? And by the time we get out there and find this cow and hiked her out of that place, we got out, and we were lucky that we could drive around the mountain a little ways, and we took like the ATVs. So we cut it maybe in half, but so mile-ish or so out and a mile-ish back, and literally just like post-holing through snow the whole way. And we got back, and I was like, you ever shoot a cow out there again, I will freaking kill you, man. Like I was so over it. Like, and so I know how that feels. But so I know, Ryan, you mentioned looking into this year, you talked about training or whatever. You're like, I'm going to take a little bit better approach to it this year. You talked about maybe dialing in the nutrition and some of that stuff. Have you started on that mission yet? Or are you getting ready?
I've started it. See, I've been lifting weights now for maybe almost 5 weeks now, and I've noticed a difference. And I was playing basketball on top of that, and then my food's getting better. It's not bad, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
I've noticed a big difference, and now I'll be adding in probably throwing on like a plate or a sandbag of 40 pounds in a head just to start walking like a 2-mile loop or something to get the side wibbles and all that ready to go. So this year I'm putting way more effort into training because I plan to come back and do both again in at least New Mexico and see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, that's scary for the opposition, because he's going to come in better shape than last year.
Yeah, food's always a hard one too, right? Everybody loves to eat.
Yeah,
we can lift weights all we want, but the food's always the tough one.
Yeah, it's really tough, and I mean that's another hard one because I mean, like, I'll be cooking for my family and like they want something different. I'm like, well, I'm trying to stay here, but where could I curve it so I can have something? Or instead, I'm cooking 2 different meals and like going to work, and even that stuff, I'll get busy and kind of lack off on drinking water. And at the end of the day, I didn't drink nothing, so it's like trying to find a balance, and it's tough, but I can see it slowly working, and I still got a long ways to go though before I'm gonna be where I think I'll be.
It's a never-ending process, that's for sure. So, and then you guys coming into the the event last year, did you guys shoot the 3D course as well? And
yeah, we shot the course as well.
Okay. So what, and in terms of, other 3D courses, things like that, like how did you guys feel about the 3D course and the way that was set up? Did you guys like that kind of scenario based stuff? I think that, that was the intent, was it, to be more than just kind of stepping up and shooting. Do you think that's helpful to people that go to that event, giving them an opportunity to practice kind of situations and stuff like that? Did you guys find that helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was awesome, from the different angles to having to crawl on one with your arrow. I thought that was super cool. Or you got to hold your draw at a certain point. I thought it was really neat. It does really help you work with real life scenarios if something was to happen. Like maybe it stops behind a tree for a little bit and walks out, or you're hiking up a mountain like the last one. I think that one I missed pretty bad, and it was pretty funny, where you had to run across the bridge, touch the target, run back, and you have like 10 seconds to shoot an arrow.
Right. Yeah. I think those are the things that are tough. I think we're all guilty of like shooting when we're fresh, shooting flat footed, just, drawing back and letting them go. And, you shoot really good and you're like, oh yeah, I was on today. And you're like, yeah, but what happens when your heart rate's at 150 beats per minute? Can you still do that? And yeah. I think those are the things that a lot of people sometimes forget to do. Right. So.
Yeah. Every hunting situation is different. There was one this year where it's like you kind of sneaking up because you're hearing, the bull bugle, but you can't find it. And then you stumble upon it, and then he's looking right at you, and you're like trying to figure out, well, do I draw now? Do I wait? And then he ended up taking off around a tree because he like kind of got spooked. And so like, I kind of creep towards him with the cow call. And then, I'll call him again, and he's 40 yards away. And then like you draw back, and then you're like, okay, well, here's my chance. So then it's like that one scenario they had for the shoot where it's like you got to shoot within like 10 seconds, like get your range, draw back, and shoot. And it's a real life situation, and that was super cool about, the shots on that course.
Right. And I know, like, we talked about this with Henry Ferguson, who's he's the head honcho with Colorado Bowhunters Association. And we were just even talking about, like, you see guys that, they do this number and they draw and like settle down or like pull and come up. And like, I think that type of scenario you just talked about, like, puts you potentially in situations where, like, if that's how you're practicing, it's going to be really hard for you to draw in that way when you only have, like you said, you may only have a 10-second window to shoot. And at the same time, you've got all this excessive movement that you're doing to get to that shot. And you realize that maybe your practice doesn't fit. Actually,
you got to be more discreet.
Yeah,
with how you draw or hold or whatever it might be.
So I think there's some stuff to be said to that too, where that opportunity gets lost really bad if you screw it up. And a lot of times, as you guys know, right, like that may be the only one you get. So it's a good way to figure out, like, are you ready? And I think that's maybe an underlying portion of the whole event, which is like, can you pack out an animal? Can you get these shots off in this, situations that are presented, right? And if not, then you're going to probably fail in a simulated environment and hopefully give you a chance to like correct some of that stuff or work on it before you actually get out into the woods and do it live, so to speak.
Yeah. I've seen that tons of times. Like you were saying, like they bring the bow up, or they're just pulling like too much poundage because they think they need more poundage versus being able to pull their bow back in one nice smooth
right
motion and all that stuff. So I've seen that before, and I've seen guys like even traditional where they have to have their feet set. And like growing up, our dads taught us to always, as long as your center half is straight, you can have your legs be able to move one leg, left leg, and still keep your center of gravity and able to shoot different ways. So it helped us knowing that growing up, we were kind of taught these different scenarios from our dad.
Right.
So it was fun, and then it still brought you back to like, well, these are some basic things that help a lot of people too as well. Like I said,
for sure.
Maybe you're on one side of the tree and he comes on the other, and you can't see. Well, maybe you can just take one step forward with your 1 foot back and still be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. So, kind of, moving on from that a little bit, as you guys get ready to take on, the summer and all that. I know you guys do a ton of things elsewhere. Like what's day to day for you guys? Like, what are you guys doing when you're not hunting? I know Dom mentioned kind of some ranch stuff and things like that. Like what's your normal days look like?
Go ahead, Dom.
All right. So I guess normal job. I work with the Game and Fish, and I'm a Parks and Rec. So I oversee our high fenced area and then the lakes and stuff. So busy with that, and then with the videos and editing for our channel and our brand for our guiding stuff here on the reservation. And then come September to January 10th, it's all hunting, hunting and guiding.
Heck yeah!
So you're almost cheating then, because you get to be out in the field all the time and observe and watch and yeah. So well, at least at least you acknowledge that.
It's not cheating. It's just doing what I love, and getting lucky with the opportunities.
No, I get it. 100%, I get it. I mean, I sit in a box all day and stare at walls, and guys throw baseballs for for hours on end. You get to actually be out in the field and take in your observations and do your mental training as well as some of your physical training.
Yeah, and for me, my day's pretty much the same. I work on a ranch in a town about 25 minutes from here, and I'm outdoors just as much. I mean, but I don't see as much animals as him, but it's pretty much the same, like ranch work, fixing fence, clearing roads. Lately I've been shoveling and moving ice, so I'm a little tired of it. I don't get tired of much stuff, but I'm sick and tired of snow at the moment.
I think we're all in that same boat. It's been a very cold, wet winter for everybody. I've lived here for 14 years now, and this is the coldest, wettest winter that I can remember.
Yeah.
And this a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I'm over the snow thing. Like, people that have lived here for their entire lives, when I first moved to Colorado, they were like, "Oh, you'll get sick of it." I'm like, "No, I'm not sick of it." And now I see where they're at. I'm like, "All right, it's enough of this cold crap. Let's get the sun out. Let's melt this stuff, and let's get to some of the more fun outdoor activities that we're so used to."
Yeah. Most definitely. So let's talk a little bit about you guys. Your other job, if you will, is, as you mentioned, from September till January 10th. You guys are out in the field. You guys are guiding. You guys are taking people out, putting them on animals. Obviously, hopefully get an opportunity to do a little bit of hunting yourself. Talk a little bit about your operation. Where you guys are located, the name of your guiding service. All that stuff, so that people can maybe look you guys up. I mean, like I said, we watched kind of online and through social media and stuff this year, and the quality of mule deer and elk and stuff like that you put people on is just phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about that, and maybe even take that step further. Like, is that something you guys were just brought up into? How did you guys get into that? Kind of just take us through that a little bit.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead, Dom. I'll let you talk about the brand and all that.
Okay, well, guess I'll start it off. So with our guiding, we guide under, it's called Bucks of the Hickoria, and it's kind of like the brand that our dad started back in like the late 90s and early 2000s. He wanted to get more publicity out with the mule deer hunts here on the reservation, and once Ryan started guiding more, he kind of took it to a whole nother level, with getting more of like the social media and the internet involved and like posting more and stuff like that. And then when I came back to the reservation and I got on board, it's like, well, we can still do more. We can add the videos and stuff. And so, we do everything from archery elk hunts to middle of the season rifle elk hunts to mule deer to bear and mountain lion. And I mean, every hunting we have on the reservation, we provide guiding services for that under the Bucks of the Hickoria. And yeah.
And so, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna say, we're located in northern New Mexico, so it's like pretty much at the very top in the dead center of the state. at the very top between Chama and Farmington, very close to Pagosa. A lot of people know Pagosa because of the skiing part.
Right, for sure. And so one of the things I know, I had a few questions that I was thinking of. You know, you guys are on the reservation there. The northern border of it, I think, actually butts to Colorado, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and the land itself, like how does that work for you guys? Do you guys have specific areas within the reservation you guys, you know, kind of have targeted to hunt? Like, I know just, and the only reason I ask is obviously that is much different than, you know, looking at like the rest of the state where it's unit based, and Colorado's unit based, and, you know, private ground and public ground and things like that. Talk a little bit about like the structure of how that works for you guys, and what you're able to utilize on the reservation.
So the way I'd put it is it's very similar to like a unit minus, like, I guess our high fence part would be considered like a little private land or something, because we can't hunt that. Like, say we have a hunter that has a reservation wide rifle or archery or rifle bull tag. We can utilize every part of our reservation, north to south, east to west, minus like that little section of high fence part, which, well, is like another different hunt on its own. But we're able to utilize every bit of it. And then, like, all of us growing up from like my dad, which we learned like spots he liked going, and then from there we learned, and then just kind of venturing off on our own. So everybody kind of has their own favorite spots to go to, but there are some honey holes that a lot of us try to keep to ourselves if we find, or just something every different. I mean,
so
just
it's like
it's
everywhere
kind of
else.
yeah, it's basically the same.
Yeah, and it's just under 1 million acres. So if you think like, you know, 20,000 acres is big, just wait till you get a hunt on 1 million, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
I was just going to ask how big the territory is that you guys are allowed to roam around on. So, is that in New Mexico? I'm assuming that's some like special permission or special tag that you have to get in order to hunt that area.
Yeah, so all the tags
so
are sold
that's
through yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You were just about to say it. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, all the tags and everything are, you know, there's draw tags and there's over the counter tags, but the reservation wide tags, you know, you can go anywhere on, you know, the pretty much 1 million acres. And then Ryan was saying our high fenced area, you know, that's like 15,000 acres of like a mountain. So basically it's just deep canyons, timbers, and I mean, like he said, it's a totally different hunt. Like, you think high fenced, and I mean 15,000 acres of deep timbers and, you know, canyons and stuff, it's like a whole nother animal in itself.
And so did the high fence area become something that like evolved? Like, obviously when most people hear that, a lot of times people hear high fence, and I know you kind of alluded to that a little bit, like they think like, oh, well, that's where they keep all the big ones, and, you know, you just go in there and just pick one and take it, you know, and that type of thing. Like, did the high fence area become something over time where you're like, we're going to make this a little bit more exclusive, or was that like planned, or how did that area become what it is today?
So when they did it, when they built the high fence, when they built it, everything that was in there, minus like the deer and bears and lions, which can move, but the deer they kept, and then they did a total kill off of all the elk. And this was like, I believe in the mid 80s to early 90s is when they had fenced it off and everything. Then from there, they started transplanting better genetics. So in the high fence, it is better genetics. But when we say high fence and people hear it, like you said, they cringe, or it's like, oh, well, you're going to walk in and they kind of just sit there and it comes out. In there, it's a hunt. It's like any public land hunt is what I would compare it to. I mean, animals in there get smart very fast, and you got to be willing to put work in to get the quality animal you're looking for. If you come in there for like a 360 or something, you got to be willing to go up and down these deep canyons that are in there. And I call it the roughest part on our reservation as far as terrain, country, because it goes from steep mountains to flatland, and then canyons, trees falling everywhere. It's tough. It's a good hunt. It's very tough. And that's where a lot of our training, I guess, in the fall time comes from for packing out animals, because in there, it's more than likely you're going to pack out an animal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's awesome, right? Like, I think that, as we said, a lot of times that goes with, like you said, most people hear that and they get this kind of negative kind of connotation to that and think like, well, that's not hunting, and it's super simple, and that's for all the, the elite level people that can afford it and that kind of stuff. And it sounds like, that area, if you're willing to go in there and you're willing to pay the price, the reward is big, but the sacrifice is also pretty big too, which is great. And I think that's the way it should be, most definitely. So that's cool to hear. Now, how many hunts do you guys allocate? I'm assuming, I know like a lot of places, guides, things like that, they have a certain number of tags that they can allocate. Do you guys have kind of a sweet spot for how many hunts you guys offer in a year?
Yeah, so they do the same thing. They do an aerial count every year on like the reservation with the helicopter, the game and fish and stuff. So once the hunts are done, January 5th, I think like the 6th, they get in a chopper and they start doing the aerial survey so they can dictate how many elk tags and deer tags they can give out for everybody. That's including tribal members, non-members, and just the whole spectrum of elk and deer. Like, can we kill a little bit more elk, or we got to cut back on deer because numbers are down? So they do homework and all that stuff on how to do the tags. And in the game park, it's pretty much set almost every year. 40 bull tags, and those are once you get a tag in the game park for a bull, you got your spot locked until you're ready to give it up. Or if you try to move up in hunts, you can, but guys got to be willing to let go of their tags year after year or whatever. And same with the cows, that they have numbers in there, and those ones in there are probably the hardest ones to hunt if you ever want to do a really tough cow hunt.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, so obviously it sounds like you guys have a really nice, management piece in place, which is obviously super important, right? Maintaining the quality of the herd and numbers and those types of things. What for you guys, when do you guys get to hunt? I mean, I think that's everybody talks about, guiding, and there's, a lot of people think like, it's the best job in the world and whatever. And you talk to a lot of guys who go like, I haven't hunted in like 10 years. But I know you mentioned that, Dom, like you had a bull tag or got a bull this year. Like, do you guys try and allocate time for yourselves every year to get out and hunt as well?
Yeah, for sure. Every year I usually end up getting a elk tag at least. And, I'll put in for like the mule deer draw and late season and archery mule deer. So, I mean, there's opportunities for us to go hunting, but it's just having to slide it in between the, guided hunts that we have. So, if you have 2.5 weeks to hunt, you may only be able to hunt like, a handful of days out of that 2.5 weeks, but you still get out there.
And then I have to touch on this because you guys mentioned bear hunts, and I would highly recommend checking out Ryan's Instagram. You got to talk to me about this post you put out of the bear at what, like
15 feet,
15 feet or whatever that you put out, and you're videoing the bear at 15 feet.
You took a selfie with him, and then you took a practice draw.
And a practice draw.
We need to go through this real quick.
We got to talk about this because I am watching and I do pay attention. You got to. Okay. I showed it to Jason. I'm like, what is he doing? Look at this nut.
Yeah, it's like 3 pictures. Like one's you staring at a bear, then the next one's with you taking a selfie with the bear. And then the third one, you're taking a draw on the bear, but you were practice drawing. You didn't really shoot him.
Yeah,
I need to know the story behind this bear and whether he's tame or not. What circus he came from, or what circus you came from.
I came from a very crazy circus. That's all that is right there. I mean, it's kind of that living in no fear, but having the respect for the animal at the same thing, knowing that, he can come and whoop my ass, but I'm going to test my limit at least enough to get into. I know I can get into his realm if it came down to it. But I had just got done baiting there because we can bait here on the Hickory, and left and came back with a buddy, and we had parked and just walked up and we're like, oh, hey, there's a bear. Or I think we drove up or something. And I was like, I'm going to get out and see how close I can get to this thing. So I got out and we were like 40 yards, and I snuck to 30, and I was like, I think I can get closer. Got to 20. I can get a little bit more. I got to 15, and then he kind of started noticing me, and that's when I started taking pictures and all that stuff. So, I mean, I tested the boundaries there on that one.
You didn't pet him? Like,
I didn't pet him, but I have actually petted a bear before.
yeah, try and put a saddle on him. Maybe try and tame him up a little bit.
Try to. Yeah, I have actually really petted one. It was kind of funny. We were out. What was I doing? It was I want to say it was early summer, so about Mayish. We were driving around, me and my cousin, and we saw this bear walking a pond. So I was like, "Well, let's see if we can chase it up a tree." Like, okay, so we took off. I took off running and chased it up a tree and got it. And we just happened to have some bait in the back of the truck, so I grabbed the lettuce head and I found a pole, put some cream cheese on there, and I raised it up, and I had brought it all the way down. I was sitting there petting it, and it was kind of cool.
Oh,
that's
man.
a whole nother level, brother.
Yes, it is.
That's a whole other level.
Dom, are you part of this this type of activity too, or are you in the same boat as us?
Oh yeah, no, I value my life a little bit too much to go to that extent. I live life on the edge, but not that close to the edge.
Yeah,
you're gonna keep a few more steps away from it. I love it. That's awesome. So now, guiding, right? Like it's something you guys do, and if you go and look at you guys' webpage and everything, you can tell like it's a big family operation, right? Like you mentioned your cousins and brothers and learning from your dad and all these things, and I think that's awesome, right? Like, and there's so much that you gain from camaraderie and experiences and things like that, and you kind of get brought up into it. But when you look outside of that, like for you guys, when the bucket list comes out, like what's the things for you guys that maybe are on your bucket list of like hunts that you would love to do, and at some point you're gonna be like, man, I need to take some time and do some other things. I'm not getting any younger. Talk to me about that. We'll start with you, Dom. Tell us about like what's your most desired hunt that you haven't done, or maybe you have done. I don't know. You share that with us too.
Bighorn sheep would be my number one thing, man. Getting up in the mountain and going chasing one of them bighorns. That's my number one right there.
Yeah. Do you guys have bighorns on the reservation?
No, we do not.
No. So you're gonna have to venture out then.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, that's like you said, that's one of the ones that kind of on the bucket list of what you can do, when you get out.
Now, with a bow?
It doesn't matter, bow or rifle. If I could do a bow, then I'll try a bow, but just as long as I can get out there on the mountain.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Ryan?
Mine, you think you guys would probably laugh, but mine's is a Alaskan brown bear hunt.
Yeah.
And like some of these guys that shot him 10.
He wants to pet it.
Years. Yeah, I mean that's my bucket list hunt. I think would be that right there with my bow, because I'm a bow hunter by heart. So being up close to something like the size of a slug bug or a little beetle going beside me, I'd take that over anything, any time of the week, because that's just amazing. And watching videos on YouTube of guys doing it is just like, I'm gonna do it one day.
Yeah. I got a good friend of mine that I grew up with. He guides bear hunts on Kodiak, and he talks about some of that stuff. And I don't know. I think
that's a rifle hunt for me.
Jason wants to carry like 2 at all times.
Yeah. I don't need no.
We did see a big bear.
Have you seen the movie trailers for Cocaine Bear yet?
No, I haven't.
It's hilarious. Like when I first heard the story about that, I thought it was hilarious. But then they turned around and made a movie out of it, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe we're actually going to do this. But yeah, I don't need to see any bears that are wired on anything other than life. And again, even at that, I want to reach out and touch them from a distance until I know that they can't reach back and touch me.
Yeah, we had a really good sized bear last year that kind of like bisected us and 2 of our buddies, and they had went off in another direction, and Jason and I had headed south, and we were kind of working our way back to camp, and a huge bear had walked out, and they just just missed an opportunity to shoot him. And we were probably like 5 minutes behind where they were at. And so we come walking up the trail, and they were actually hiding behind a tree. And they thought the bear had circled and was coming back for them. And so they were like ready to draw. And then we come walking out, and like we scared the crap out of them because they're like, "Oh, we thought you were that damn bear." Like we thought it circled.
And then we start looking around. We're like, "What bear?
What
I didn't see a bear." They're like, "Yeah, he went right down that way where you came from." I was like, "Oh God."
So, but no, that's awesome. And you know, parts of me wants to do hunts like that, and parts of me, I think it scares me to death. And I don't know, maybe that'd be good for me to actually go do it. Cause I think that when you get out into the wild, right, and you realize that there are things that are bigger and more powerful and more capable than you to have the upper hand, it definitely gives you a sense of like smallness, right? Like I think you realize like, I may be holding a weapon, but they have a lot of senses and just general ability to either keep themselves hidden or be the aggressor if needed. And I think that there's a part of that to hunting and getting out that, you know, if you don't recognize, then you'll learn sooner or later. I think we learned that the hard way years ago when, you know, we were out archery hunting and none of us had a firearm. We were just, you know, and
I had a firearm.
Yeah, and didn't
I was the only one.
Yeah, didn't have a tag.
I'm like, you guys better be able to throw rocks and sticks really fast.
and we stumbled on Mama Bear and two cubs, and they were actually going to a bull that we had killed 2 days ago. So, and we were kind of like right in line with it, and Mama Bear was not too happy about us being in their neighborhood, and so it was.
She escorted us out.
she paralleled us for like a couple 100 yards, just like keep going, keep going, and we did. So
that's really true. Like I said, we have a weapon, but like I said, it's just that respect you got to have to show the animal. Like I'll show you your respect, just back up. But I mean, even elk hunting, like backcountry stuff, you don't realize that you're actually in still bear or lion territory. It's just not on your mind because you may not be doing it. Or until you see one. So I mean, you're actually out there with them, just don't realize it.
Yeah, exactly. And lions are worse, right? Like people always say, you'll never see a lion most of the time. Like it'll find you if it needs to, and that's never a good situation. So, but so talk about you guys. You know, as I mentioned, you guys had some really successful hunts this year. Give people an idea. Like I know a lot of people structure hunts based on, you know, I've seen everywhere from just, you know, general, like, you know, do you want a bull tag? Do you want a cow tag? You know, you try and work on allocations of things. And then there's people that allocate their tags in terms of saying like, well, what quality of an animal do you want to take? Talk a little bit about the people that come down to you guys and like, what do you guys tell them? You know, obviously you guys know about us and what we do. And we talk a lot about the physical aspects of it. How much of that do you guys kind of send downstream before people show up down there with you guys and you know, or do you in terms of saying like, hey, if you want a quality animal, you know, you need to show up ready and like talk a little bit about like clientele and what you guys do to ensure that you give them the best experience. Cause I think that's a big part of it.
Okay. So usually when I have guys call and all that, they're asking like for a bull hunt, and I'll ask them, what are they looking for and what like range, and I'll tell them our reservation is based off 295, 300 to maybe 310 is a giant bull for us. I mean, we do crack every now and then the 330, 320, 340 range, but those are few and far between. But I tell them what you're looking for on our bull hunts here on the reservation, not the high fence, because that one we're looking 340 and better. But the reservation itself, I tell them you're looking for more of what would it be, quality over quantity or quantity over quality, I guess would be the because you're looking, if you come on the rut, you're going to call in if you have a good guy that knows what they're doing, or just anybody that at least knows something about elk. You're going to see or call in anywhere from 20 to 30 bulls, sometimes off 40 on a good day. And that's just like outrageous to even say that you can just go out there and you're calling in bulls 5, 6, 7. I mean, small ones. Some of them are good 6 points that anybody would get fired up over and all that stuff. And we tell them your minimum's a 5x5, so don't shoot anything smaller than a 5x5. Make sure, I mean, because if you have archery hunters and you're calling, you're not able to stand or sit right next to them. You're back away, so you always tell them just make sure it's legal before you get excited and shoot.
Right, and I think that's normal, yeah. And then as you mentioned, right, like you get into the fenced area. You know, I know you guys had some really nice bulls this year. What was the largest bull that you guys harvested this year?
What was it? It was 454 or 458.
Jesus.
I think it was 454 in the high fenced area.
Yeah.
No, wait.
That's a
I think
tank.
it was 458. It was 458 because our one last year was 454.
Wow. That's insane.
That's a tank.
Yeah, and then I think for the reservation it was like 315 or something like that.
No, it was 340, like 346 or something like that.
Was it really?
Yeah, that's
killed in the early October hunt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's great. And I think a lot of people get caught up in those numbers. But like you said, a lot of times too, I think people are really bad at judging, right? Like, and don't realize that, you know, a 300 class bull is a really nice bull, right? And a 315 inch bull is a really nice bull. And, you know, the rarity of seeing a 400 inch bull is like so few and far between, you know, and I think a lot of people lose sight of, how much of an anomaly that is. And when you actually start scoring them and things like that, if you get onto, you know, whether it's public land and those types of things, that if you find a nice 5x5, like those are tremendous bulls to take down. And
yeah, especially with a bow. Oh, that's a trophy all day long, because not a lot of people kill anything with a bow.
Right. Exactly. So, and then mule deer hunts. How's the quality of you guys mule deer?
200 plus.
454.
200 plus? Is that what you said?
Well, that's our standard. Yeah, 200 plus is what we say. And I mean, that can be from a 200 inch typical all the way up to like a 250 non-typical.
Wow. That's pretty solid.
Those are tanks also.
Yeah, and this year was outrageous on the deer hunt for mass wise. I mean, some of the numbers I was throwing out there were scaring me. Just even the number coming out of my mouth was like, for a deer, this is pretty scary, but it's reaching some of the numbers I'm talking about.
Yeah. And so in terms of like you guys getting out and hunting, like how does that work for you guys hunting on the reservation? Do you guys get full autonomy to, you know, kind of shoot whatever? Do you guys try to do management stuff? Like, how does that work for you guys in your own personal hunts? Because obviously you want to maintain, you know, creating the best experiences for people that are coming down, because obviously that helps put money in your pocket and you know, it's part of the business and growing the quality of that. Like, what's you guys' approach when you personally hunt on the reservation?
For me, it's hoping to fill the freezer pretty much is what mine is. I mean, we make it a competition. I mean, because like I said, we see so many bulls that we're not going to really hurt the quality. For archery wise, our whole family, we have to qualify too. So that's a thing here for tribal members on our reservation. Each guy that wants to hunt with a bow, starting in July, they have to be able to put 3 arrows in a 6-inch circle at 30 yards. Can't touch the line. It's got to be 3 in there. If you miss, you get 2 chances every Sunday until you get it. So,
wow,
that's the start of it.
How many guides work the property?
What was the list be, Dom?
I think there's like 60 or so that are on the list, so you know, but I mean, as far as like being out there every other hunt, you know, you're kind of, you know, 10, 15 people.
So it's not just you guys in 1,000,000 acres and a customer. It's several of you guys and customers.
Yeah, especially during like archery hunt. So it's from September 1st to 25th, which is the tribal member hunt. You have your non-tribal archery hunters going, as well as the South muzzleloader hunters, which they break up the reservation South and whole res. So you still have people out there that are hunting for themselves while you're still guiding. But
Gotcha.
I mean, you rarely run into people unless there's a big bull that everybody knows about and somebody's trying to get it.
I'm sure there is very few secrets when it comes to that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. And like I said, for hunting wise, like for us, I mean, we'll make a little pot, like just to make it fun to see who can kill the biggest bull or something. And there's no complaining whether you get one day to hunt because you've been busy. Like what's been me and my dad for the past couple of years is we'll get 1 or 2 days and we're hunting. But I mean, we don't complain about it.
And then you still show up, take the pot, and turn around and walk away.
Yeah,
like, try harder next year, boys.
Yeah, so it's still pretty fun. And like I said, for me, I more try to fill my freezer. If I have a good bull in front of me within bow range, it's more likely going to be shot. So that's just my take on it. Because I mean, being so busy guiding it, it's hard to put the hours and quality of time I'd want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just happy when I have a good 6x6 or 5x5 in front of me, and I'm almost happy no matter what because I know meat's going to be in my freezer for the winter.
Yeah. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, and I kind of take the same approach, but I mean, I'm a little bit more. I'll hunt for a good, decent, 300-inch bull for like the first week and a half, and then like when you start getting down to like, your last 4 or 5 days, you're kind of like, okay, well, it's getting closer. But up to that point, it's like I've called in, 20, 30, 40 bulls that I could have easily shot like within, 10, 20 yards, but it's like you said, it's all about the experience of going out there. You're calling bulls, you're, doing different scenarios where you'll do a drawback and you'll practice, and then you'll let down. You'll go chase another bull. You'll apply different tactics to this one, different to that one, and then at the end of the day, like Ryan said, you're just trying to fill the freezer. So if it's the last day, I'm gonna shoot a bull, whether it's a 240 5-inch bull or a 5x5, or if it's like a 320 6x6, like it's going down, because I want to fill the freezer because I live off the meat year round too,
Sure.
Right. For sure. So since you talked about the pot and competitiveness, who's shot the biggest bull? Let's
see. This past year was my dad got it this year. Actually, this past year, my dad is the one that won it. Yeah, because I had shot a 3-horn bull.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get bonus points for that?
I didn't get no bonus points. I just had an extra 24 inches to add to my score. That was about all I had.
No.
But other than it being 3-horn, which I didn't even know at the time I shot him.
Really?
Yeah. Me and my buddy had gone to this pond that my dad kind of told me about that he enjoyed going for years. And like I said, it's one of those places where I know I can go and I'll kill me an animal. And we got there and they started bugling. We were a little late, so we hustled down to the pond. And sure enough, it came running out, and we're just looking and didn't have my binos. And I'm like, I saw it looked like a drop time to me, and my buddy didn't even know at the time either. And I was like, well, it's good enough for me. I'm going to take it. Seriously? I'm like, yeah. So he's recording on his phone. And so I draw back, and they spooked to 70. And I'm like, oh, he's still within my range. So then when I walked up, and I was like, dude, I just shot a 3-horn bull. Like I went from here to just happy to I hit the lottery. It was like amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's amazing how we value nature's mistakes so highly. Like you get so used to seeing 5s and 6s or just typical stuff, and then you see some total mess up of nature, and you go, I want that one. I want the 3-horned guy, or I want the guy with the, the crazy whatever kicking off the side because it's so unique, and you just don't see him very often.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, that one was a surprise to me until I had walked up to him. I was within 10 yards of him. And then I was like, oh.
It's one of those things. Would you rather shoot like a 454 or the 3-horned bull?
I'd go with 3-horn bull, but we had just been at the expo this year. And there was what was it? Did you remember the score on that one 3-horn? It was like 340 something net, like gross 390 something.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
It was outrageous. Same thing, 3 horns, three pedicles. It was same thing. It's like
we've had some.
I'd rather have the loud one.
Did you do Euro mount on that, or did you cape it, or?
I have a Euro hanging up in my living room.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a great conversation starter.
Yeah, we shot a friend of ours. Was it 3 years ago?
The one with the
we shot a unicorn, and his pedicle was coming out like right above his eyeball, and
wow.
it curled straight forward and kind of like really wonky looking bull. And
I think he got hit in the head a little too hard as a young
something. Yeah, Darby's notorious for that because I was with him on a deer hunt one year, and we had found a mule deer, and we kind of got into position. And this was like during rifle season, and I was actually just along. I wasn't even hunting, but I went with him, and it was snowing like crazy. I got some cool pictures from that hunt. We're just covered in snow. And we get over this ridge, and this mule deer pops out, and he's standing broadside from us. And all we can see is like his left side. And as we're looking at him, I'm like, oh, that's a good deer, dude. And so he racks one, and he ends up shooting it. And he was at like 140, 160 yards or something like that. And as we ended up going over to retrieve him, we walk up on this buck, and we look on the other side, and his other horn was like a unicorn. It was a single horn, nothing coming off it, just like it was smooth as could be, just sticking.
Just a branch.
It's like 13 inches long, just one single tine. And we both look at each other like, what the heck happened there? Like, what? How did that happen?
He's missing half his horn.
Yeah, you got the 2D image instead of the 3D.
Yeah. So it was an unintentional management hunt.
Yeah, it's kind of like I say, Dominic's buck with his client this year. That was one that just blew everybody's mind out the water. I think even Dominic's, when he saw it, I'll let him tell that story.
Oh yeah, that.
Dom, are you still there?
Yeah, it was a 210 inch mule deer is what the gross score was, and it had 48 inches of mass. And so to put that into perspective, a good buck, good mature buck has like 34 inches of mass, 32 inches of mass.
40 inches of mass is a good, as heavy for a deer. Average would be 18 aside. So
so 36.
You're looking at a bull mass right there.
It was circumference.
It was just like that, and I mean, it was
like
outrageous.
Coke cans coming off his head.
Yeah, so we got the call from my dad, and my dad was like, "You need to come and look at this damn deer." So I was like, "All right, we'll show up and look at it." And then, we get there, and we found it bedded down, and all you see is like two big old, just like you said, Coke cans just sticking up, and so it doesn't look like much from that, and it's like, okay, it's a cool deer, I guess, not knowing what I'm looking at, and then it gets up and it starts walking. And then, when it's looking straight at you, it looks like a big 2x, like just big, massive, just a big 2x just looking at you. And then it turns to the side, and then you see all the trash. And I was like, oh my God, we need to shoot this dang thing, And, up to this point, we had seen 50 other mule deer, and there was one mule deer that we spent 45 minutes picking apart. And between the 10 of us, on our team, we had narrowed that buck down to 2 inches. And then the buck that we ended up shooting, the hunter didn't even look at it. He spent 10 seconds looking at the buck. And then finally, when he shot it, we went down and we were like, oh my God, what did he shoot? And we hold it up and we're just like, oh, look at this thing. I don't care if it scores 180. This thing is freaking crazy. And it threw everyone for a loop. We couldn't even put numbers on it. It was so outrageous,
That's awesome.
Crazy.
And then you wonder how those things happen, right? And then they,
freaks of nature.
Yeah, we've paid attention after we shot that weird bull a few years ago, and I've seen in the unit that we've hunted, we've kind of tried to see if there's others, and we found in Colorado, in that area, there's a little bit of a genetic where I've seen a few other bulls that have looked really similar to that. Mm-hmm. And whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it's cool to see that. You hope that there's obviously nothing wrong with those animals, but when you get an opportunity, like you said, which would you rather type situation, the uniqueness of having something like that step out is, you almost can't pass it up.
Right. It's like an albino anything, right? You're I'm probably going to take that.
for sure. So, but well, cool guys. If you guys are looking for a unbelievable hunt with some tremendous guides and even better people, I hope that you guys will look up both Dom and Ryan.
Yeah, what's the website for if anybody wants to go book a hunt or look into hunting the reservation with you guys?
hickoryhunt.com. That'll take you to the CARILA.
There you go.
Yeah. We'll be sure to provide all the links and all that stuff in the descriptions. Make sure people know how to get a hold of you guys. I know you guys are active on social media as well. Highly encourage you to check out both, Dom and Ryan on Instagram.
Go check out him petting the bear with a selfie. Did you post the selfie?
I've posted one that I've done before. I probably might have posted the one you're talking about. If I'm not, I'll post it.
As I say, if you haven't posted, I want to see it. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll go scroll through your Instagram, see if you posted it.
But
yeah, I'll repost it.
If you go check out their website, you'll see what we're talking about in terms of quality of animals, and I know that in just the little bit of time that we've got an opportunity to talk to you guys probably just make every hunt just a fun experience. Even in some of the videos I know you guys put out just packing out. I mean, you do it with a smile, and you guys just truly enjoy being out.
This has got to be that deer he's talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
That thing looks like...
We'll try and post a picture of that too, just as much as we can to kind of bump some of that stuff up. We're super excited for this year. We do have a couple of secrets that we're withholding that coming up for Western Hunt Fest that we're excited to share, and will be kind of another notch to the Packout Challenge, as well as just the whole event. And we can't wait to get linked back up with you guys and see if you can defend the title, baby. There's a lot of newcomers that are going to be heading out, so we're excited to see.
And to get you guys entrance music when you walk onto the grounds.
Right.
The champ is here.
You guys are bringing the trophies, right? You gotta represent.
Yeah, probably bring the trophies. Been calling out a couple people. I've called out my brothers and my twin brothers, our twin brothers, and they said they're in, believe the Colorado one. And just recently, I've called out the Hushin team.
Nice.
We started talking to them at the expo and showing them, and I told them, "You guys can pack weight. Why don't you guys come see what you do?" And I showed them our trophies, and I was like, "Well, I'll call you guys out if you guys really want to see what's up. We'll see what's up." And
that'd be awesome.
I posted out, and Pack them out right away messaged me and said, "Now that's a call out." Like, well, I'm trying to get this bigger because it's fun just being everybody and seeing everybody's different techniques on how they do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we had such a blast. I think, we learned a lot from the events, and we learned, got an opportunity to meet so many people, and just even watching people strategize with how they attack the whole thing. And, I think to some degree, you guys probably put a lot of people on notice that if
you set the bar,
if you want to come out and be successful, you better have your butt ready to do it in one trip, because you guys are, I'm assuming, not going to change your strategy this year. and even more so, probably plan on seeing if you can do it faster than you did last time. So the cool part is we're looking at trying to get some monitoring and things like that, so we could actually learn a little bit more of, what was your output? What did it look like? We've got some things lined up for that, and we're super excited to get linked back up with you guys. And obviously we're rooting for you, but we're rooting for everybody at the same time. And it'll be fun, because I know that there's probably a few people that are laying.
I need a sub 50 this year. Sub 50 minutes.
Laying in the weeds, thinking like,
Ryan, you said you're in better shape. Let's see it, Bubba.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I'm in better shape now, and I'm going to be way better when it comes, because like I said, I'm planning to do both for New Mexico, and how that fares, I may end up doing both again for Colorado as well. So
love it.
I'm not going to retire or say we're done and let somebody.
New Mexico's your home turf. That's like a home game for you.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And I'm not ready to be knocked off this pedestal unless we did something wrong to be knocked off. So, and if I can get both titles, it's going to be hard for somebody, I think, to eventually beat my solo time if I can knock out both.
Setting the bar high, Bubba.
The Western Hunt Fest Hall of Fame.
That's right.
So, Well, cool, guys. I appreciate you guys taking the time to catch up. I've been excited about getting an opportunity to chat. I know, like I said, we kind of message back and forth, but, it's fun watching you guys and how much you enjoy what you do, how much, you just always have a smile on your face with getting out, and whether it's someone else taking a big animal or whatever, I think it always shows to me, just how much love you guys have for what you do. And I know that people that get an opportunity to hunt with you guys probably feel the same way. And so we're excited to see you this summer, and we're looking forward to seeing the defense of the title. I guess New Mexico won't be a defense as much as it will be.
That'll be another bar setter.
Yeah, setting the bar. So
got to bring home those rhino trophies now. I saw a picture of those. Those look pretty sweet.
Yeah, they're gonna be we're gonna be pretty sweet. Jeff and Efren have done a really awesome job with those things, and we just hope that it's just going to continue to grow. And I think what we're hoping for is that if we can continue to add more events, that we're thinking about holding like a grand championship event where all winners from all the different venues would come together for a winner at one venue at the,
Hell yeah.
at the end.
Put it on ESPN Plus.
That would be awesome. Hold a pay-per-view right there.
Yeah, we need announcers and everything, like real time.
So
get Aaron Andrews down there on the course interviewing you guys.
Yeah. So
that'd be awesome.
Cool, guys. Well, we appreciate your time. We'll look forward to keeping up with you guys. We'll make sure we provide all the links and all that stuff so you guys can go out and find Dom and Ryan, as well as Bucks of the Hickory. Check them out. Reach out. These guys are great about communicating with people in the field. They do some awesome stuff, put on some great hunts, and they're living it like a lot of people wish they could. I know that. So it's fun to catch up with you guys, and we'll look forward to seeing you this summer.
Oh, for real, man. Sure. I look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah,
Preach.
Most definitely. All right, take care.
All right, no, man, I still go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day.